I was 16 when my father's words carved themselves into my soul like broken glass. Figure it out yourself, Emily. I'm done. The smell of his cologne mixed with the mustiness of cardboard boxes filled our Detroit apartment as he packed the last of his belongings. My mother had been gone for 3 years. Cancer took her when I was 13, and now he was abandoning ship too. Hey lovely souls. At Family Life Tales we share stories about family that inspire, educate, and uplift you. If this resonates with you, please show your support by liking this video and subscribing. Also, take a moment to pause and let us know in the comments which country and state you're watching from. Now let's continue our story. But Dad, where am I supposed to go? My voice cracked like the paint peeling off our kitchen walls. The refrigerator hummed in the background, half empty and making that weird clicking sound it always made when the electricity bill was overdue. He didn't even look at me. Just kept folding his Detroit Lions jerseys into a suitcase I'd never seen before. Your Aunt Marie lives in Atlanta. Call her. He threw a crumpled $20 bill on the scratched wooden table. That should cover the bus ticket. $20? Dad, that's not even enough for... Don't start with me, Emily. His voice had that edge that used to terrify me when I was little. I got my own life to live now. Chanel's pregnant and we need to focus on our family. Chanel. His 22-year-old girlfriend who was only 6 years older than me. The woman who used to giggle when I called her Miss Chanel, and now wouldn't even acknowledge my existence. I am your family, I whispered, but he was already walking toward the door, suitcase in hand. The apartment suddenly felt enormous and suffocating at the same time. That was the last time I saw my father face to face. 6 years later, I thought I'd buried the pain deep enough. I was wrong. The bus ride to Atlanta was the longest 23 hours of my life. Aunt Marie met me at the Greyhound station with tears in her eyes and arms wide open. She smelled like coconut oil and vanilla, nothing like the sterile hospitals where Mom spent her final months. Baby girl, you're home now, she whispered into my hair as other passengers rushed past us. The station was loud, filled with announcements and diesel fumes, but her voice cut through all of it. Aunt Marie was Mom's younger sister, only 32 with 2 kids of her own, Nathan who was 14 and little Destiny who was 8. Their house in College Park was small but warm, with family photos covering every surface and the constant smell of something delicious cooking. Your daddy ain't right for this, Marie said that first night as we sat on her back porch, watching Nathan shoot hoops in the driveway. But you gonna be alright. We gonna make sure of it. She enrolled me at Benjamin Mays High School the next Monday. I was scared, angry, and felt completely out of place, but I threw myself into my studies like my life depended on it. Because it did. The guidance counselor, Mrs. Clark, took special interest in me. You're smart, Emily. Don't let your circumstances define your future. She helped me apply for every scholarship and grant available. By senior year, I had a full ride to Georgia State University. When I walked across that graduation stage, I looked into the audience hoping to see my father's face. Instead, I saw Aunt Marie, Nathan, and Destiny cheering louder than everyone else. That had to be enough. College was my sanctuary. Georgia State University's downtown campus buzzed with energy that made me forget the hollow ache in my chest whenever Father's Day commercials played on TV. I majored in business administration with a minor in psychology, determined to build something meaningful from the wreckage of my childhood. My roommate, Jasmine, was from Savannah, bubbly, privileged, and completely clueless about struggle. You never talk about your parents, she'd say while FaceTiming her dad about her car payment or spring break plans. They're not around, I'd respond, burying my nose deeper into textbooks. Academic success became my armor. Dean's List every semester, internships at Fortune 500 companies, president of the Business Student Association. During sophomore year, I got a part-time job at Turner Broadcasting. The corporate world suited me, structured, predictable, merit-based. Unlike family, work rewarded loyalty and effort. You're impressive, Emily, my supervisor, Mr. Monroe, told me during my performance review. Most students your age don't have this level of focus. If only he knew that focus came from having nothing to fall back on. No safety net. No daddy's credit card or family connections to cushion failures. I graduated summa cum laude at 21, accepted a position at a marketing firm in Buckhead, and moved into my own one-bedroom apartment in Virginia Highland. The rent was steep, $1,200 a month, but it was mine. Every stick of furniture, every bill, Every decision was mine. Aunt Marie was proud but worried. You work too much, baby. When's the last time you went on a date? I laughed, but she wasn't wrong. Building a life from nothing didn't leave much time for romance. It was a random Tuesday evening in March when curiosity got the better of me. I'd been working late on a campaign presentation, my apartment quiet except for the hum of my laptop and Atlanta traffic 23 floors below. Something made me open Facebook. Maybe loneliness, maybe masochism. I typed Rocco Williams into the search bar. My father's name was common, so dozens of profiles appeared. But there he was, third one down, looking older but unmistakably him. The same deep-set brown eyes, the same cocky smile that used to make my mother laugh. His profile was public and my hands trembled as I scrolled. Photos of him and Chanel at what looked like a housewarming party. She was heavily pregnant in one picture, glowing in a yellow sundress. The caption read, "New house, new baby, new beginnings. God is good. New beginnings. Like I never existed." More photos. Gender reveal party with blue confetti everywhere. A baby shower with elaborate decorations and what looked like expensive gifts. A hospital photo of him holding a tiny baby boy, tears streaming down his face. Meet Adrian. Daddy loves you more than words can say. My chest tightened. He named his son after himself. The son he chose to raise. The child who would never wonder if his father loved him enough to stay. I kept scrolling, torturing myself with images of the family he built after discarding me. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, beach vacations. All the moments I'd imagined sharing with him someday, given to strangers. The worst part. In every photo he looked happy. Genuinely, completely happy. Like forgetting me was the easiest thing he'd ever done. I couldn't stop myself from digging deeper. Late nights turned into Facebook stalking sessions that left me emotionally drained and furious. Through mutual friends' posts and tagged photos, I pieced together their perfect little life in Birmingham, Alabama. They'd bought a house, a beautiful colonial with a wraparound porch and manicured lawn. The mortgage had to be substantial, but somehow they were managing it. Dad worked at an auto parts warehouse according to his employment information, and Chanel was listed as a full-time mommy and entrepreneur, with some kind of beauty supply business. The math didn't add up. How do you afford a $300,000 house on a warehouse salary and a startup beauty business? I found my answer in a post from Chanel's mother. So proud of my baby girl and Rocco for getting approved for the first-time homebuyers program. Sometimes dreams do come true. First-time homebuyers program. Government assistance for people who'd never owned property before. The same programs I'd researched but never qualified for because my income was too high, according to federal guidelines. My father had erased me so completely that he could legitimately claim to be a first-time homebuyer. On paper, Adrian was his first and only child. The irony was suffocating. I was working 60-hour weeks, paying market-rate rent, building credit from scratch, while he was getting subsidized housing by pretending I didn't exist. But the photos that really broke me were from Adrian's first birthday party. An elaborate backyard celebration with a bounce house, catering, and what looked like 50 guests. My father was wearing a custom t-shirt that said, "World's #1 Dad." I slammed my laptop shut and cried until my eyes were swollen. The message came at 3:17 a.m. on a Thursday night in June. I was deep in sleep when my phone buzzed on the nightstand, the blue light cutting through my blackout curtains like a blade. Unknown number with a Birmingham area code. "Hey Emily, this is Chanel. I know this is random, but I really need to talk to you. It's important. Please don't ignore this." I sat up in bed, heart hammering against my ribs. After 6 years of silence, she was reaching out. At 3 a.m., my hands shook as I typed back. "What do you want?" The response came immediately, like she'd been waiting by her phone. "I found some stuff. About your mom. About what really happened when you were little. Rocco has been lying to both of us. Can you call me? Please? I can't do this over text." My mouth went dry. What could she possibly know about my mother that I didn't? Mom died of breast cancer when I was 13. Dad told me she fought for 2 years before losing the battle. It was devastating but straightforward. My phone rang before I could respond. Chanel's number lit up the screen. "Hello." My voice was barely a whisper. "Emily, thank God you answered." Chanel sounded different than I remembered. Older, strained. "I'm so sorry to call this late, but Rocco is working night shifts this week, and this is the only time I can talk freely. What's this about, Chanel? I wasn't ready for small talk with my father's wife. I found papers, Emily. Legal documents hidden in his toolbox. About your mom's life insurance policy. About money that was supposed to go to you. The room started spinning. What are you talking about? Your father has been lying to you about everything. Start from the beginning, I demanded, pacing my apartment like a caged animal. The hardwood floors creaked under my feet as Atlanta's skyline glittered outside my windows. Chanel's breathing was shaky on the other end. Last week the air conditioner broke. Rocco went to get his tools from the garage and I was helping him carry stuff. There's this old metal toolbox he never lets anyone touch, says it's private work documents. I could hear a baby crying in the background, probably Adrian. She shushed him gently before continuing. The latch was broken and when I picked it up, papers scattered everywhere. I was just trying to put them back, but I saw your name. And your mama's name. Legal papers, Emily. From right after she died. My legs gave out and I collapsed onto my couch. What kind of legal papers? Life insurance documents. Your mama had a $50,000 policy through her job at the hospital. You were listed as the primary beneficiary. But there's also paperwork showing Rocco claimed the money as your guardian. $50,000. When I was 16 and desperate, scrounging for bus fare to Atlanta, my father had $50,000 that belonged to me. There's more, Chanel whispered. Medical records. Your mama didn't just die from cancer, Emily. She died from complications during treatment. The hospital made some kind of mistake with her medication. There was a settlement. I couldn't breathe. How much? $230,000. Paid out 6 months after the funeral. All of it went to Rocco as your legal guardian. Nearly $300,000 total. Money that could have paid for my college, helped me start my life, bought me a house. Money that was rightfully mine, stolen by the man who threw $20 at me and told me to figure it out myself. Why are you telling me this? My voice was barely audible. Because I have a baby now. And if something happened to me, I'd want someone to make sure Adrian got what was his. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw my mother's face during those final months. Weak, worried, whispering apologies for leaving me alone. She'd been trying to secure my future even as cancer ravaged her body, and my father had stolen it all. Chanel texted me again Friday morning. I took pictures of the documents before he got home. Can you meet me somewhere? I think you deserve to see everything. We agreed to meet at a Starbucks in Birmingham that Saturday. The 2-hour drive from Atlanta felt like an eternity. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white, imagining what I'd say to my father when I confronted him. Chanel looked different than in her Facebook photos. Tired, stressed, younger somehow. She'd aged gracefully into her looks, but worry lines creased her forehead as she clutched a manila envelope. I'm sorry, Emily. I'm so damn sorry. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she slid the envelope across the small table. I had no idea. When we got together, Rocco told me you were rebellious, that you chose to leave. He made it sound like you abandoned him. Inside the envelope were photocopies of everything. The life insurance claim. The malpractice settlement. Bank statements showing deposits. And most damning of all, a letter from a lawyer advising my father that as my legal guardian, he was required to hold the money in trust until I turned 18. He'd never intended to give me a penny. There's something else, Chanel said quietly, about why he really left Detroit. She pulled out a foreclosure notice dated 3 weeks before he abandoned me. Our apartment had been in foreclosure for 6 months. He'd spent my mother's money on gambling debts and bad investments, then fled to Alabama to escape the creditors. I wasn't just abandoned. I was left holding the bag for his failures. That night in my hotel room, I spread every document across the bed like pieces of a puzzle. Chanel had been thorough. Bank statements, legal correspondence, even emails between my father and various lawyers about managing the minor child's assets. The money trail was clear. After Mom died, Dad received $50,000 from her life insurance in August. The hospital settlement of $230,000 came through in February the following year. By May, when he abandoned me, he'd blown through nearly $200,000. I found receipts tucked between legal papers. $15,000 at Motor City Casino, $30,000 to a bookie named Big Tony, $25,000 to some investment scheme that promised to double your money in 6 months. The rest had disappeared into living expenses for a lifestyle he couldn't afford. My phone rang around midnight. Chanel again. I can't stop thinking about this, she said. I keep imagining if someone did this to Adrian. I'd want to kill them. What do you think I should do? I asked, though I already knew the answer. I think you should take him to court. I think you should make him pay back every penny with interest. And Emily. Her voice hardened. I think you should destroy him the way he destroyed you. He was right. This wasn't just about money, it was about justice. About a 16-year-old girl who worked 3 jobs in high school while her father lived off her dead mother's money. About college loans I shouldn't have needed and years of struggle that could have been avoided. Will you testify? I asked. I'll do whatever you need. I have copies of everything hidden where he'll never find them. That man stole your childhood, Emily. It's time to take it back. I hung up and immediately called the best lawyer I could afford. Attorney Teresa Sherwood was recommended by a colleague at work. Sharp, ruthless, and specialized in family financial disputes. Her office in Buckhead screamed success. Glass walls, modern furniture, and a view that rivaled my apartments. This is a slam dunk case, she said after reviewing the documents. Breach of fiduciary duty, conversion, fraud. We're not just talking about the original amounts. With 6 years of interest and punitive damages, we're looking at close to $500,000. $500,000. The number made my head spin. What's the likelihood of actually collecting? I asked. Teresa smiled like a shark scenting blood. That's where it gets interesting. I ran a basic asset search on your father. The house in Birmingham is worth about $320,000 with roughly $280,000 still owed. But here's the kicker. It's in both their names. Meaning when we win, and we will win, we can force the sale of their home to satisfy the judgment. Community property laws in Alabama make Chanel liable for debts incurred during the marriage, even if she didn't know about them. The irony was delicious. Dad's new family would lose their dream home because of the money he stole from me. The same government programs that helped them buy it would be useless against a federal court judgment. How long will this take? I asked. 6 to 8 months if he settles quickly. Longer if he wants to fight it in court. Teresa leaned back in her chair. Most people in his position take the settlement once they realize how screwed they are. I thought about Adrian, innocent in all this. About Chanel, who'd done the right thing by telling me the truth. About 16-year-old me crying in that empty Detroit apartment. File the lawsuit, I said. And Teresa, I want him served at his job. In front of everyone. 3 weeks later, Chanel called me at work, laughing and crying simultaneously. Girl, you should have seen it. The process server walked right into the warehouse during shift change. Asked for Rocco Williams loud enough for everyone to hear. I'd specifically requested that the papers be served publicly. After years of hiding what he'd done, I wanted his coworkers to know the kind of man they worked alongside. How did he react? I asked, trying to keep my voice professional since I was at the office. He went white as a sheet. Started reading the papers right there on the floor, and his supervisor had to ask him twice if everything was okay. Then he just walked to his car and sat there for like 30 minutes. The lawsuit was straightforward but devastating. I was seeking $280,000 in original funds, $150,000 in lost investment opportunity, $75,000 in punitive damages, plus court costs and attorney fees. The document outlined every transaction, every lie, every betrayal in clinical legal language. What's he saying at home? I asked. He's been in the garage for 3 days drinking beer and making phone calls. I heard him tell someone he might need to declare bankruptcy. Chanel paused. Emily, I'm scared about what this means for me and the baby. I felt a pang of guilt, but then I remembered. This wasn't my fault. I didn't steal money from a grieving teenager. I didn't abandon my child with $20 and a bus ticket. I didn't lie for 6 years while building a life on blood money. You did the right thing, Chanel. Whatever happens next, remember that. That evening my phone rang. Dad's number flashed on the screen, the first time he'd called me in 6 years. I let it go to voicemail. I waited until I got home to listen to the message, pouring myself a glass of wine and settling onto my couch as if preparing for battle. His voice was exactly as I remembered, deep, authoritative, but now with an edge of desperation I'd never heard before. Emily, it's Rocco. I know you're upset and you got every right to be, but this lawsuit is gonna destroy my family. Chanel don't deserve this. My boy don't deserve this. The audacity was breathtaking. After 6 years of silence, his first words were about how my pursuit of justice would hurt his real family. Look, I made mistakes. I know I did. But that money helped me get my life together, helped me become the man I needed to be for my wife and son. You turned out fine anyway, got your education, got your career. You don't need this money like they do. I turned out fine. Like my success erased the trauma of abandonment. Like my achievements justified his theft. I'm asking you to drop this. As your father, I'm asking you to think about your little brother. You want to be the reason he grows up homeless. My little brother. The manipulation was masterful, using a child to guilt me into protecting the man who'd stolen from me as a child. Call me back. We can work something out without lawyers. Family should handle family business privately. Family. Now I was family again when it served his purposes. I deleted the message and called Teresa Sherwood. He's running scared, she said after I told her about the voicemail. That's exactly the response I expected. He's going to try every emotional manipulation in the book before he accepts reality. What reality is that? That his chickens have come home to roost and you're holding the receipt. 2 months later, Teresa called with an offer. His attorney wants to meet. They're proposing a settlement, $175,000 paid over 5 years, with the first $50,000 due within 60 days. It was less than half of what we were seeking, but Teresa explained the math. Litigation could drag on for 2 years. Court costs will mount. There's always the risk he declares bankruptcy and we get nothing. What's your recommendation? I asked. Personally, I think we can get more. His house has equity and he's clearly desperate. But it's your call. That evening, Chanel texted me, Rocco has been a wreck. Barely eating, snapping at everyone. The stress is killing him. Is there any way y'all can work this out? I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to see him suffer the way he'd made me suffer. But another part, the part that remembered loving him before he destroyed everything, felt tired of carrying so much anger. I called Teresa back. Set up the meeting. But I want to attend. That's not typical. Settlement negotiations usually happen between attorneys. Nothing about this situation is typical. I want to look him in the eye when he admits what he did. The meeting was scheduled for the following Friday at Teresa's office. My father would have to face me across a conference table and account for every dollar he'd stolen. After 6 years of silence, we were finally going to have our reckoning. One more thing, I told Teresa. I want Chanel there too. If she's going to lose her house because of his choices, she deserves to hear the truth directly from him. Teresa raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? Positive. It's time everyone in that family learned exactly who Rocco Williams really is. The conference room felt like a courtroom as we took our seats. Dad looked older, grayer, but his eyes still held that familiar mixture of arrogance and desperation. His attorney, a tired-looking man in an ill-fitting suit, shuffled papers nervously. Chanel sat beside him, clutching a diaper bag and looking like she'd rather be anywhere else. She avoided eye contact with me, but I could see her hands trembling. Thank you all for coming, Teresa began. We're here to discuss a resolution to Ms. Johnson's lawsuit against Mr. Williams for breach of fiduciary duty and conversion of funds totaling. I know what this is about, Dad interrupted, his voice sharp. He looked directly at me for the first time in 6 years. Emily, you look good. Successful. Don't, I said quietly. Don't try to make small talk after what you did. His jaw tightened. What I did was survive. What I did was rebuild my life after losing everything. That money helped me become a better man. That money belonged to me. My voice was steady, controlled. It was my mother's final gift and you stole it. I was your guardian. I made financial decisions. You made the decision to abandon me with $20 while you lived off my dead mother's insurance money. The words came out harder than I'd intended. You let me work 3 jobs in high school while you gambled away my inheritance. Chanel's sharp intake of breath cut through the tension. She was staring at her husband like she'd never seen him before. Rocco, she whispered. You told me her mama left her money to you, not to her. The silence stretched endlessly. Dad's attorney cleared his throat. Perhaps we should focus on the settlement terms. No, I said, standing up. I want him to say it. I want him to admit what he did. Dad's composure finally cracked. His shoulders sagged, and for the first time since I was a child, I saw him as he really was: small, broken, pathetic. You want me to say it? His voice was barely above a whisper. Fine. I took the money. All of it. Your mama's insurance, the settlement from the hospital. I was drowning in debt and I saw a way out. Chanel made a sound like a wounded animal. Oh my God, Rocco. Oh my God. I told myself I'd pay it back someday. When I got on my feet, when I could afford it. But then years passed and you were doing fine without it, and I let myself forget. You didn't forget, I said, my voice steady despite the tears streaming down my face. You chose to forget. Every Christmas, every birthday, every graduation you missed. You were spending my mother's money. He nodded, defeated. I know what I am. But Emily, please. Don't punish my family for my mistakes. Take everything from me but leave them out of it. I looked at Chanel, who was crying silently while rocking Adrian in her arms. An innocent child who would suffer because of his father's choices just like I had. Here's what's going to happen, I said, turning to Teresa. We'll take the settlement. $175,000. But I want the first $50,000 in 30 days, not 60. And I want a written admission of guilt. Dad's attorney started to object, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. The remaining balance will be paid over 4 years, not 5. And if he misses a single payment, the full amount becomes due immediately. Emily, Dad started. I'm not finished. My voice echoed in the small room. You will also write a letter to every family member explaining exactly what you did and why. No more lies. No more pretending I chose to leave. The room was silent except for the soft sounds of the baby. And Rocco, I said, using his name for the first time. If you ever try to contact me again, if you ever show up at my job or my home, I will pursue the full lawsuit amount plus harassment charges. You're no longer my father. You are a stranger who owes me money. 6 years of anger, pain, and betrayal poured out in those words. When I finished, I felt empty but strangely free. Dad signed the agreement with shaking hands. As we prepared to leave, he looked up at me one last time. For what it's worth, I am proud of who you became. I met his eyes without flinching. I became who I am in spite of you, not because of you. Don't ever forget that. Walking out of that conference room, I finally understood what closure felt like. My father's debt would be paid, but more importantly, I had reclaimed my power. I was no longer the abandoned 16-year-old girl crying in an empty apartment. I was a woman who had built her own life, fought her own battles, and won. The little girl who needed her daddy's love was gone. In her place stood someone stronger. Someone who knew her worth wasn't determined by the people who chose to leave.